ResortLoop.com is brought to you by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Enjoy Joffrey's new single origin coffee, Peru Cafe Femenino. Available at Joffreys.com and at the Joffrey's kiosks throughout the Disney parks and resorts. And the best part, the sale of Joffrey's Coffee Cafe Femenino gives back to worthy projects and programs that enhance the lives of women and their families in coffee communities. That's Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
We are now approaching the Magic Kingdom station. If you're planning to disembark here, please remain seated until the monorail has come to a complete stop within the station. The doors will open automatically for you to the left of our forward motion.
All right, I'm ready. You ready, Bob?
No.
Okay,
Go ahead.
good thing. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
This is ResortLoop.com. This is episode 303.
303, and we have uncaged our DVC crew.
Release.
Again, unleashed them on the world. It's kind of like release the Kraken, Tim.
Exactly. Oh, my gosh. It's time for DVC Roundtable show number 2.
I love it.
I know. Despite what everybody said, we did another one. No.
Better.
No, we had lots of positive
mortals.
feedback. Anyway, joining us for our roundtable today is Emily Honsa Hicks. Hello, Emily.
Hello there.
Hey. And Rebecca Toon.
Hi.
Our good friend Chris Malek.
Hello.
Our running expert, Joe Quattrocchi.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, and joining us tonight, special guest from the DisDads podcast, our Aulani correspondent, if you will. Not on the ground, we have our own one out there. But Brad Coates is going to talk to us a little bit on the show also. He's going to share his experience with us.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, it's great to be here, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, Brad, thanks so much. This is very exciting, isn't it, Bob?
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for coming on. And what are we going to talk about with these wonderful, wonderful friends of ours? Tim, they now know where we live. So
they do. Who's that? Rebecca's at my window. Rebecca's at my window.
But don't worry, I have a satellite. I can hook you up.
You guys know we love you very much, and we really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm just messing.
I'll see you later. Just kidding.
You left your garage door open.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to, since we're fresh into this, we're going to do a little, another intro little topic. We're going to talk about why everybody decided to join the club, what were their considerations, what maybe did they not think about, and what they might do differently.
I love it.
I hope you do, because we're going to go with this.
Like it or not, here we go.
Like it or not. Who's up first?
We're going to start with Emily, because it was actually her idea for the show topic today. She's the co-producer today.
You know. I'm going to put that on my name tag at work, and people are going to be like, what are you talking about? And I'll be like, you're not allowed to know.
That's right.
The first rule of podcasts is you don't talk about
There is no podcast. Right? That's why I use an assumed name. I keep lying to my children about my name, too, so hopefully they won't be able to report me for anything effectively.
That's so you can move and they won't know
Right.
exactly
One
who
of
to
the many
find.
reasons this
What's
is a
your
good
mother's
plan.
name? I have no idea.
She said her name is Emily.
Oh my goodness, Emily! Just tell your kids what I tell my kids. If children's services come, they take you out of this house. I still get to live here, so just keep that in mind.
That is what my parents used to tell me. That's what my parents used to tell me when I was a child, and I'm not even kidding. And I'm going to play this podcast to them because they're going to be so entertained. They used to say, it's going to be even worse somewhere else.
So, Emily,
I was a lawyer even then.
How did you decide to join DVC?
Okay, so this was kind of a no-brainer. I actually had been itching to do it forever. So I've always been aware of DVC, and I have friends that have joined. I've had friends that I've convinced to join, and it was kind of like a matter of getting into a place where it made sense for us. And yep, and actually we had, I think we will probably touch on this later, but one of the questions/comments we got was about like the best time to join. This person had the same experience we did, which was we had sort of like a what do they say, like make hay while the sun shines. So we had a good year, and we had just had the twins, which are our 3-year-olds, and we decided, well, I decided, and my husband was luckily easily persuaded, that we should like pay off everything we had and splurge on something that was a good investment forever. So rather than buying a lake house on Erie up in Put in Bay or something, obviously we should go to Disney World. So we went on a great vacation, and we figured this would be a good bet because I researched the resale value, and well, maybe I'm getting into too much detail, but basically we had 2 almost 1-year-olds, and we thought about having another kid. And so we thought, well, we're probably going to want a family-friendly vacation destination for a while. So I'll just sum it up in that. And I won't even get into the research yet, but we decided it was a pretty safe bet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rebecca, what about you? Or Rebecca, you're renting.
I am. Yeah.
What made you decide to rent?
So we, sort of on the flip side, we have toured DVC a number of times, but I think when we were in the position to buy, our children were a bit older. They were, 8 and 2, and we knew that was sort of it for us. So we were always going to be this sort of family of 4. And by the time we got around to sort of touring DVC and looking at buying into DVC, our children were sort of already accustomed to traveling to Disney. And what appealed to me about the DVC level of accommodation, so those deluxe resorts, appealed not at all to my children. Because what appealed to my children were these huge, larger-than-life icons and vignettes at the All-Stars. And so for my children, the All-Stars were the deluxe. And so they had already been accustomed to thinking they were staying at this awesome place. And we would go to the Polynesian for dinner, and they would hate it.
Oh, wow.
And so that sort of played into our decision, was that our children, they wouldn't enjoy the deluxe level as much as we, the adults, would. So that played into our decision, as well as a couple of financial factors. I had a hard time wrapping my head around that 40-year time limit. I've grown to learn a lot more about it since then. And like I said in the last show, I think it's just a matter of time for us in buying in now, because our family is now expanding beyond those 4. We're going to eventually have, wives and husbands and grandchildren. And so we will start having those bigger groups. But I think, as to what we would have done differently, I think we would have probably bought in back at that time, 20 years ago. We probably would have gone ahead and bought and continued to take those DVC trips, but also continued to work in some of those all-star resort trips so that we could all have the best of both worlds. Because everyone that I talk to that owns says that their greatest regret is that they didn't buy sooner. And I think that will always come into play for me because I've looked at it for so long. So renting is sort of an on-balance point for me now. We're not at the point where we're quite ready to buy yet. We're still sort of researching the wonderful world of resale, which is, I think, where we will buy in the end. So while we sort of research the value in the world of resale until we find that package that works for us, I think we'll continue to rent.
Okay.
Yeah. And Bob, Rebecca doesn't know that after the 3rd DVC Roundtable, you are required to buy.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, so she won't be back next time.
So after the next show, it's going to be a requirement.
You will not believe how much I won't argue with that. I'm like, sorry, babe, it's a requirement.
Now that we're pushing
you. The podcast.
Bob,
Chris,
they wined and dined me with vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream when they watched my kids for an hour.
So you're easy.
I pretty much signed up for organ donation as well, too. So that was good. No, seriously, my wife and I have opposing work schedules where my job largely hits the ground running pretty hard spring all the way through roughly Thanksgiving. My wife's a teacher, so she's off during summer when I'm not. So we really only have a few periods during the year where our schedules are compatible. So that vacation's got to be really good. So, the Disney Vacation Club became really easy for us to buy. We know it's going to be an awesome trip every time we go. So it was pretty easy. largely the only hurdle we had was we knew early we wanted to pay it off in cash. We didn't want to make payments. If you make payments, you're kind of behind the 8 ball, at least in my impression, because you're having to take that loan out from somewhere. So really, the only hurdle we had was walking into the Doorway to Dreams in Woodfield, Illinois, with $17,000 in cash. That was pretty much the only hurdle. So once we tackled that, we were done.
Wish I had known when you were going over there.
And what kind of car you drove.
Anyway.
I brought it in with a big suitcase, walked around.
Did you have a handcuff? Was it handcuffed to your wrist? No. Joe, why did you decide to get into it?
Well, growing up, I was pretty spoiled. I was pretty fortunate to have stayed at the Polynesian, the Grand Floridian, the Contemporary, pretty much, once a year. I was very lucky growing up. And as I got older and I had to start paying for the hotel bills myself, I realized how expensive these places were. And I remember looking back as far back as 2007. I went on a trip, believe it or not, just with my mom. It was a little mother-son trip. We stayed at the Wilderness Lodge. I remember sitting down at the DVC kiosk, and the guy went through the whole spiel. And I was about 27, so, I had some money saved up. I was like, I'd like to buy DVC one day. Had a really good deal at Wilderness Lodge that time. But as I started looking at the prices, I'm like, this is just crazy. I'm like, I can't afford to stay at the deluxe resorts, paying rack rate even with the specials that they ran. I ended up going with a friend of mine a few years back. We stayed at the Beach Club Villas and absolutely loved it. I was there with my wife at the time. We were re-engaged, and we just said we loved it here. We loved the extra space. We stayed in a 2-bedroom, so we were kind of spoiled. But I kept saying to my wife, I was like, I love staying back in the deluxes. I didn't like, coming from off property. I had stayed on previous episodes with you guys. My parents had some timeshare locally in Orlando, and driving from off property, it just didn't have the same feeling. I said, I want to buy DVC. I want to get into DVC. So she said we had to wait till we were married. But once we got married, she says, okay, we could do it. We did our research ad nauseum. I spoke with the friends of mine that had DVC, and we ended up with a resale contract that actually made sense for us. And another thing that really made sense that we wanted to buy it was we are big fans of Hilton Head. And Hilton Head is where we got married. It's where my wife vacationed as a kid. She's from South Carolina. And so knowing that Disney had a resort in Hilton Head as well, it was not only did we like going to Disney and could have essentially afford now the deluxe rooms being at the DVC villas, but also we could also have a place to stay if and when we wanted a vacation at Hilton Head. So that's kind of the way what factored into our decision.
That's a good way to get a proposal, by the way. We can't have DVC till we get
bribery, yeah.
Yeah, she did, and we bought it about 4 or 5 months after we were married that we actually bought it.
So that's awesome.
She did make me wait.
Yeah.
That is a smart girl.
That's right. DVC without the cow for never mind.
I was trying to figure out how that works.
There's a cow and a milk and a DVC. I don't at all.
I'm sure, whatever.
You don't get the Joe Quattrocchi through his stomach.
That song by Beyonce, if you like it, put a DVC contract on it.
There you go.
That works.
That's the next campaign. I love that.
She said the second
strategies.
She said the second contract is on me. She said she has nothing to do with the second contract.
Very nice. Very nice. Brad, how long have you had DVC, and what made you get into it?
Well, we purchased DVC in 2005. So we've been at it for a while. The year was 1999.
The smartest man on the line.
Actually, a little bit before that, I lived out in Southern California for about 7 years. I worked with teenagers, and I got to tell you, there wasn't anything magical about Disneyland at all, taking 50 to 60 screaming teenagers to the park. And I had no love for Disney whatsoever. But in 1999, my second child was born. She was 2 months old, and my mother-in-law said, everybody come out and I'll buy tickets and I'll foot the bill and let's do Disney. And so free works. I can deal with Disney. It's free. So we went out, and we were back at Minnie's house, and Minnie Mouse saw my wife holding our little 2-month-old, and clearly Minnie Mouse must have just had a baby mouse, because she saw that baby and just started taking her gloves and going, give me that baby, give me that baby. And so I handed her our daughter. She cuddled her for about 10 minutes, just people standing in line waiting to get their picture taken. Finally, Minnie waves at the entire crowd and walks into her house with the baby and leaves everybody standing.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, well, I've got a picture of my wife over her shoulder going, "You're giving her back, I'll kill you, mouse." You know. But honestly, my wife and I sat there, and honestly, we just started crying. It was the most beautiful thing. Our daughter was reacting, and our older daughter was really getting into it. And we came out of there, the kind of work that we do is very stressful, and so we came out of there and we said, you know what, this is the kind of experiences our family needs to have. So we're going to do this every year. And since that day, she was 2.5 months old. She's now 17, and they've been at least one time every year for 17 years to something Disney. For the first few years, didn't have the money, so we would stay in the cheap hotels across the street or down the road with the Roach Motel. And then we stayed in an RV one time, fifth wheel, and pulled it out there. And then finally I splurged and stayed at Paradise Pier and thought I had hit the big leagues. And that's when we got approached by somebody to check into DVC. I really hadn't heard much about it. We had 2 timeshares before, and I still wake up in a cold sweat thinking about them. And I'm just thinking, I don't even want to waste my time. There's no way I'll be interested. But their spiel, honestly, was so non-threatening. And they gave me, and I'm very detailed guy, so I asked tons of questions. My wife just kept rolling her eyes. And finally, we got enough info. We left and came home. And about 2 months later, I called him back and said, we want in. And so we knew we were going to come back every year, and it just made sense.
So you pretty much DVC out in California more than Florida.
Well, and that's how it started. But of course, once you buy DVC, guess what? Before, all I ever did was Disneyland because that was close. But now, I've been to all the DVC resorts except for the brand new ones. I haven't done the Grand Californian one yet, and I haven't done Polynesian yet. But I've done all the rest. Been to Aulani and done Disneyland as well. And we even used early on points for cruises. We've been on several cruises.
Where do you own at, Brad?
My first contract was Sarasota Springs.
Okay.
And that was right when it was being built, and then later on I bought a second contract resale, and because we fell in love with the Animal Kingdom, and so I purchased for Animal Kingdom as well. So I have 2 contracts.
Nice.
Let me ask you this, Brad, and we'll go around the round table with this. Could you mind saying how many points do you have? Do you think it's enough, or are you going to need more?
I have 200 points with Sarasota, and I have 50 points with Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
And honestly, for me now, there was a time there where I didn't think 2 was going to be enough. The only thing I can think that I'll have to buy more points is because I have 2 daughters that are going to go to war over who gets what. Kill me off. After they say goodbye. And but I've actually gotten so into Disney, I became a Disney travel planner. And so now I get to go on other means. So actually now lots of times with my DVC points, I just rent my points. And get a travel agent discount, and so I get to choose a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But $250 is pretty comfortable for us. We've been able to do everything we want. So,
what accommodations do you usually get, Brad?
We do a lot of split stays.
Okay.
We'll go and we'll stay in the studio for a couple of nights when we know we're just going to be buzzing in the parks. And then when we start to get towards the end, when we're going to spend a little more time, we'll slide over into a 2-bedroom where we have a washer and dryer and a lot more space where we won't, kill each other. And yeah. But my kids think we should live in a 2-bedroom. So.
I think I would agree.
Obviously.
It's right there.
Awesome. Emily, how many points do you have? Is it enough for you, or are you going to be looking for some more points down the road, do you think?
Well, when you ask the lady about her points, she says,
I thought we were close. I'm sorry.
That's a matter of public record if you go to Florida's. So we have 270 points.
Okay.
And we had a similar concern as Brad about when we croak. And so the way we worked that out was...
is everyone dying?
Wow. Well,
nobody gets out alive, Rebecca.
Indeed.
Just say, Rebecca, it's coming,
I'm
girl.
a lawyer. There's two things I do, Rebecca. It's like recreationally, lawyer-wise, and that is deeds and wills. And those are both kind of fixed things in life. So anyway, but yeah, so we were like, okay, we now have 3 children. And so we thought, all right, we're going to have 3 kids. We better make sure that our contracts are small and breakable. So that is the tip I would give to people that are looking into DVC is if you are thinking about estate planning and you don't want to have big fights over who gets the contract or whatever, you can, and this is the advantage that buying direct has, I will say this, because we're all talking about resale, and we did purchase, so I'll just tell you the breakdown. We have Saratoga as well, and we have Saratoga Springs. We have 160 points there, and then we have 110 at the Grand Floridian. So we broke the 110 because Disney will let you slice and dice your points however you want.
Oh,
if you want a 4-point contract, you can have a 4-point contract. Maybe not. That might be a lie. But they'll let you get pretty tiny because we have our 110 points split into like 30, 30, 40, I think. That doesn't make sense. 40, 40, 30. Anyway, whatever. You do the math. I only do the math when it's billing. So, no, I'm kidding. So the Grand Floridian, we split into 3 portions. The Saratoga, we bought resale, so we got a big chunk of the 160 points. And we usually stay in 1 bedrooms. But I think we're going to need, I told my husband my projection is that we need 50 to 80 more points. And the reason for that is I think we need to stay in 2 bedrooms from here on out with 3 kids. I mean, they're even now they're all 2 of them just hit 3 and the one is 1. But I really think we start needing space even now. So, yep. And then of course it's extra trips. And we stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge just this last trip on a split stay because we do a lot of split stays too. And that's kind of a function of being DVC too. You kind of learn to be flexible about if your ideal dates are available at this place or that place. You may consider a resort that you haven't stayed at before and then a resort that you know you love. So this last trip we did half at the Grand Floridian, half at Animal Kingdom. And Animal Kingdom is a really seducing resort because it's so all-encompassing. Mm-hmm. The pools are amazing. I know. Don't you worry. They've had me for like 10 years. But yeah, Animal Kingdom is just, but it's kind of a problem because every resort you stay at is better than the last one, you know? And then you cycle around again. But yeah, we think, so I am already feeling the pinch though, because I have to tell you, I was looking to book our next trip in this following January, because we'd like to go for the marathon weekend. Mm-hmm. And I think I only had 50 points in our bank because we already have 2 other, we have Wine and Dine weekend planned. And then we have, I'm super excited.
Me too.
Yeah, so it's, and we used a lot of points this January, and we took my parents last year, so we splurged a lot on a 2-bedroom then. So honestly, we need 350 points, right, guys?
And just on balance, as you're hearing the number of points that people have, we booked. So we've after our New Year's Eve trip this past year, we actually booked again and rented points again to stay December 27th through January 2nd. So just to give you an idea, when everybody's telling you how many points they own, for that week that we're staying from the 27th through the 2nd of January, we're at the Boardwalk in a studio, and that was 120 points. So that kind of gives you a feel for how many points you're going to use per trip.
And that's some of the cheaper points too. Is the
that's absolutely. I actually think the Boardwalk Studio is outside of an Animal Kingdom value.
Yeah,
that may
Animal
be.
Kingdom's the cheapest.
Yeah,
I think that may be because an Animal Kingdom value would have been 95, but there was 0 chance of us getting that.
And Rebecca, if you can fit 5 of us with screaming children in a studio, you know what? I'll send them with you. Actually,
absolutely
I'll
not. Been there,
I'll pay
done
the value
in
of
All
the Stars. Like Chris says, if you give us free childcare, we're willing to sign anything.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, I have sat on a chair in the bathroom more times than I can count, waiting on my kids to go to sleep when they were little. So, I think the 1-bedrooms are amazing.
Yes.
I think I've changed my mind. I am going to buy more points.
There you go.
But I don't use
think you
them. I'm going to rent to Rebecca.
Yes, absolutely. You'll never have a problem doing that.
Yeah, there you go. Got it covered.
They warn you never to think of a DVC as an investment, because you really can't, because obviously these things ebb and flow. But I don't think that's a bad idea, Brad. I do not think that's a bad idea.
I can tell you that right now, because Sarasota has kind of bumped up because of the Disney downtown Disney's remodel of Disney Springs, the price is up, and it's basically at the price right now that I paid for.
In 05?
Very close, $5 a point less.
Wow.
Sell them right now.
Yeah,
from 05 to now, it's $5 a point. I think I got my money's worth.
All four of you are just my dealers now. You're all my dealers.
And this is maybe too much information, but we paid $62 a point for our Saratoga, our 160 Saratogas, and it's now I think they're going for 80 some.
Yeah,
and
I paid 80 last year, and
was that resale?
And that was
resale.
That was resale, and I think the market's up to 84, 85.
It's crazy.
Higher.
Yeah, it's because of
in
Disney
a down
Springs.
market.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Although they're all across the board, they're all up, because I'm actually kind of thinking we're going to have to wait till the next recession to buy our add-ons, because I'm a little cheap. What can I say? Yeah. Like Bob,
Absolutely.
Can't help it. If I can get my Disney cheap, we're both shareholders too.
He's frugal.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Hey, Chris, how many points is that? Or do you have enough? Are you happy with the amount of points you have?
I have 290. I have 160 at retail at Saratoga, and then we bought 130 additional through resale through Saratoga. And right now, it's good. We largely like to go and stay in one bedrooms. My kids are older. They're 10, and 3. So we can still get away with having them kind of in the same area. My son sleeps on the floor, with pillows or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I could see it very soon where we're going to need to go to a 2-bedroom. We actually are going to be renting a tree house coming up in early January of next year. But we've got plenty of points. We try to use it efficiently. Everyone gets along. But I should say, we didn't think about it in terms of how we're going to pass this down. I have every intention of living out my contract. So
good call.
I want to say that I intend on passing nothing down to my kids. It's going to be maxed out, and we'll be good. That's for sure.
Retweet.
and not to interrupt Chris's points, because he's making excellent ones, but that's one thing I want to say about the DVC versus other timeshares, because one thing we looked at with, I think, Brad, you said you had other timeshares, or you'd known of them.
Yeah, I had them. Bad.
Okay, so we had always heard, we bought a boat because we're idiots, and we knew the next thing on the list was to buy a timeshare. And so these are the other money pits you can put in things into. But the termination dates of the contract, when you think of them as subscriptions instead of, they are deeded real estate interest, but when you think of the termination date of the contract as a freedom versus a termination, it's that's where I think a lot of people get tripped up, because when you look at these timeshares that are going for $1 on eBay, because people just don't want, you calculate it out and people are paying $3,000 a week for a place up in Cape Cod or something like that. And it totally makes sense why they would want to get out of that, because it's this perpetual vacation that they can't choose around, whatever. But the difference between DVC and those is you actually are going to have an end date. So worst case scenario, you're only paying for 30 years. But
you also have a market, too, to rent it.
Exactly.
There is a demand.
I'm that market.
We got Rebecca.
And you also
Rebecca up in Connecticut. But there is definitely a market. There is a market to get rid of them.
And there isn't for any other timeshare. There just isn't.
Yeah, and there's...
Even the other timeshares that are following the Disney model with the point system now, there's several doing it. But even those, they're giving those points away.
And you can rent them. I know a lot of people will tell you that DVC points are not a good use for a cruise, that it's a bad use of your points as far as financially speaking. And so what a lot of people will do if they want to take a cruise is rent those points out, take the cash, and buy the cruise.
That's what we plan to do.
That's what I did.
If we have any points to rent at that point. I'll probably just be hoping we can make it to next year. Just like
Emily,
the Indians.
call me.
One other really quick point that triggered was the idea that there's a bottom to the value of the points. So because Disney has this right of first refusal, if you're kind of on the edge of am I going to be dumb and join a timeshare, whatever, the right of first refusal means Disney can purchase out the contract if you go to take it to resale. So if you say sell your points, you're willing to take a huge loss, and you put your Saratoga points up for $60 a point. Right now, Disney's probably going to exercise that right of first refusal. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I'm not making any guarantees on behalf of them, but the point is, there's like a floor for the value of your investment.
They'll never completely bottom out because Disney will want them.
It's not going to be like those ones that you find on, well, hopefully, in most scenarios, it's not going to be like those timeshares that you find for $1 on eBay, because Disney will buy them before they'll let them go for free. Because they can resell them at a huge profit because they sold them to you. Now they can sell them to somebody else, you know.
Or they can take back that inventory back into their actual sales side of it.
Right, which is why the price stays high.
Yep.
Because otherwise you'd have a huge, huge low market resale value, but you don't. So.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
You're smart.
Yeah, no.
That's why we have you guys on this
Exactly. We just hit record.
That's right.
You have friends in low places. I mean, high places.
Hey, Joe, are you happy with the amount of points you've purchased?
Yes and no. We bought 150 at Saratoga, and we didn't really care where we just wanted to get in, and it was the contract that we could afford. It was the maintenance fees were at a price range we could afford. What was a bonus when we bought our contract was that there was 150 bonus banked points that came with it. So what we've done the last 2 years is we've been only using the leftover banked points. So
Nice.
every year I've always have 300 in my account. So we're kind of always just using what's been banked, and it just makes me feel a little bit better. So we want to splurge one year and really do stay at take my parents or the rest of my family took a 2-bedroom at the Grand Floridian. We will have those points to do that. My wife and I, we don't have any kids, so we're usually staying studio at Boardwalk or just somewhere where it's kind of cheaper, to get the most out of our stay. I would like to at least do another 50-point contract if I could. I'm having a hard time though finding the same use year. I don't care where it would be, but I'm trying to find a 50-point resale in a February use year. And usually when those go up on the resale market, they're snatched up immediately, the smaller contracts.
Small contracts go fast.
Yeah, so I mean, I would like to have 50 more, Tim, but with those banked points when I bought my contract, it makes it a little bit easier right now.
Hey, Joe,
explain the use year. What is a use year?
Well, essentially, my use year is February. So February 1st of every year essentially is when your DVC calendar resets for the year.
Okay, gotcha.
If you've got 150 points, for example, if I use all of my points, I have from February 1st of this year to January 31st of the same year to use all of my points or bank them. Once my use year comes up, then everything resets. I'm sure I'm leaving some other things out of there. Ladies, fill in if I'm missing something.
That's a great description.
No, that's
right.
That's
If you're at all a county kind of person, if you think of it as like a fiscal year, and that's the way they spread out the points. That's how they can sell so many contracts, because they stagger the points throughout the year. So they can sell the same unit for these different slots essentially during the year.
Right.
And
okay,
so
that makes sense.
everybody has sort of a different fiscal year but it's just basically for your own personal accounting. You still get the same exact amount of points to use. It's just that your Disney calendar year is different.
And now I've checked in with DVC on my last trip this past September when my wife and I stayed at the Boardwalk Villas, and I was looking at just buying another smaller contract. And if you buy direct from Disney, from DVC, they will modify that use year for whatever contract you're looking at if you buy directly from them to match whatever previous contracts you have. However, if you buy
the points are a lot higher.
If you buy a resale from somebody else and you contact Disney, they will not modify that use year. So that's how they try to get you to buy directly from them. It's one of the benefits, although you're paying a lot more for the points.
And Bob, and Joe, I can speak to the value of that, because on my list here, you said that some of the things we're going to talk about tonight was what should you have considered, and what I should have considered was I did not fully understand use year, and I bought my second contract with a different use year.
And I've heard that's a kind of a big headache.
It's a royal headache, because without getting all watered down with it. He's saying I've got one use year is October and I got another use year is June. But if you ever want to combine those points, which that's why you buy two contracts so you can use them together. But the problem is it's very have to be very careful when I transfer points or I try to use them because I've got different points coming at different times. And they don't transfer over. But if I transfer my June points to October, they carry the June weight with them. So if I'm doing a booking 7 months out from October, I can't use those 50 points. Right. Because they're a different use year. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Gotcha,
it throws off your 7-month, 11-month. It throws off your transfer. It throws off your borrowing points and banking points. I mean, to tell you, it's like when I get done messing my points each year, I have to go somewhere and
get a massage and go to Aulani to just recover.
You're better off. You're better off just doing taxes and being done.
Oh, yeah, just shoot myself in the foot.
And that is a topic for DVC Roundtable number 3 is UC rate transfer.
Because we could go for an hour on that at least.
Crazy, especially if you have 2 of them. It's just leave it to this. Don't ever buy 2 users.
I'm glad you said that, Brad, because Brad, I'm glad you said that because I have to say that I like complicated things like that. However, we do have matching use years because I read that it was very important to get those, and I'm always tempted to just buy like the first resale that's a super good deal at a resort that I like, and I'm just going to try to remind myself over and over again: do not buy a different use year.
It would
do
be
not
fine
do it.
if you weren't ever going to blend them, the points.
Right, we do them every time. We blend them all the time.
Right. So I can do it. I've done it, but it's work.
Right.
Oh, it's a great tip.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Chris, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't have bought retail, and that's the truth. I mean, they lure you with retail, saying you could use it on the cruise, you can use it in the concierge collection, you can use it at a bunch of different options. But truth of the matter is, I only like staying at the Disney resorts. And if I did want to go on the Disney Cruise Line, like they mentioned, I would just sell the points and I would use that cash. So when I bought Saratoga, it was $99 a point, which now it actually seems like a value. But when I bought it resale, it was $73 a point. So I spent a little more. But, if I could have done it twice, I would have just bought resale to start. I would have never bought retail through Disney itself. But they're trained. I mean, that's what they do. That spiel, that hour and a half that you spend in the preview center in Saratoga, they're really good. And, they sell for a reason. I mean, those people are highly trained, and they make it seem so desirable. And it seems like such a no-brainer. It's only once you take a step back that you think, okay, how do I really want to use these points? And, yeah, my wife and I were like, well, yeah, we might want to use them for a cruise, but we really didn't investigate. Well, we could take these points and make cash out of these points. Mm-hmm. So, at that point, if I could do it again, yeah, I would have bought it. I'd have just bought it at the secondhand market.
Okay.
No doubt.
All right. Joe, you're relatively new in the whole thing. Is there anything you would change right out of the gate?
Well, the first thing would be I would try to find maybe a slightly larger contract, maybe a 200-point contract, at least minimum. I did my research. I should have looked at the points per night a little closer. We tend to travel the same times every year. We travel in September, and we usually go down for Marathon Weekend. And I should have looked a little bit closer at where I wanted to stay and the points per night. So I have to do a little bit of more essentially research now to stretch out my points to get the maximum value possible. So if I would have done that research ahead of time, I would have said, okay, I need 200 points, not 150, and then I would have felt better off. I mean, that's the one thing every year when my contract renews, I'm like, I wish I had 200. I wish I had 200, and I didn't. But everything else besides that, I'm pretty happy with my purchase. But just like everybody else, I wish I would have did it sooner. I mean, I wish I would have. I mean, financially and in the stage of my life, I wasn't ready to do it. But looking back, hindsight, I really wish I would have bought it back in 2007 when I sat down for the spiel with the guy at the Contemporary and just listened to him. It would have been so much cheaper in the long run.
Right. Right.
But I'm very happy with my purchase. I haven't had any regrets yet. And I really look forward to booking trips now. I mean, it's so easy just to go online and click points, and I don't have to put a credit card in or anything. It's already done. It's great.
Right. Emily, other than buying a boat, is there anything you would do differently?
I sold that boat, so it's okay.
Did you use the
Two
money to buy
happiest days of your life.
Second happiest day of my life.
That's right.
Or maybe it was the first happiest. I don't know. I do have children, so I should probably wait.
I was about to say, you have kids.
In case they listen, it
Why,
was
you gonna
the
sell your
fourth
kids?
happiest. Fourth happiest.
What's the resale market for that?
Goodness gracious.
They're pretty cute, so they're not currently for sale, but get me on the right day and we can
Wait till the teenagers.
But, no, I think the thing I would have done differently, because I was just thinking about this while you're now I'm a Pollyanna, so I'm always like, the great thing about that is, but I would have, I'm very honest, and so when my husband, who was believing me because he knows I'm honest, I would tell him the right amount of points that we needed, even though he knew I was crazy and obsessed with Disney. He was relying on my expert opinion about how many points we needed. I told him approximately 250. We got 270. I didn't know we were going to have 3 kids. So if I had known that,
I can't be held responsible.
I know. I mean, sure, I knew I wanted.
We'll send you a book on how that happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of got to know how that goes, don't you?
I have some
podcast
theories. I have some theories, but they all involved pixie dust. But so anyway, I think I would have told him. I would have built in a buffer when I gave him the estimate of how many points we needed. And by a buffer, I mean at least 100-point buffer, because I should have known that I would want to take everybody that I love to Disney World all the time. So I'm still.
And now you just have to pick which 2 kids can go.
I know.
Ditch the kids and take me.
Who's been acting up?
Obviously,
Stay with Grandma.
But for example, we have now gotten into Run Disney. I'm trying to because one of the things, I'm not an athletic person. I was in marching band. My husband was a football player. Marching band all the way for this girl. Speech and debate too. But so I'm not an athletic person, but Run Disney obviously sucked me in because it sucks in any human being with a soul, and and probably some without them, but I don't really know them. But yes, so now I want to go. Right? I'm assuming. Hey, you like vodka and you like hanging out at Disney World. You've got to have something in there. But so I think I would have now I want to go down 4 times a year, which I suppose I knew. Sort of somewhere deep inside, but I think I would have just budgeted for the fact that I want to bring guests a lot. I want to, and now we are part of the long range plan, if we stick to it, is that we want to do one massive Disney vacation a year and stay in a 2-bedroom or a grand villa or a tree house or something fun and huge and spacious and maybe bring relatives. And then we want to do one sort of more cultural visit, go to Carlsbad Caverns, for example, or go to the Joffrey's factory, or
there you go.
But
shameless plug,
right? Yellowstone, kind of things like that. So we wanted keep in, we want to do the classic Americana trips,
yeah,
right? But yeah, we don't want our kids to feel like the only place they ever went was Disney World. But so if we stick to that, that's fine. But right now they're so young that they're not going to appreciate any of the cultural places I'd love to take them. So I really wish I could go to Disney World 6 times a year. Is that so wrong?
I don't see any problem.
No, it is not.
No argument here.
So more points, basically.
Hey, Bob and Tim, the interesting thing about all those opinions there is no one said they wish they bought at a different resort. Everyone's happy at their home resort, which, is...
And it seems like everybody wants to purchase more points.
Right. Nobody says they have too many points.
If I got stuck at Saratoga Springs, is that really the worst thing possible? If I'm stuck at home resort at Saratoga Springs,
that's the thing is we love it. We have stayed at Saratoga Springs only once, believe it or not, and it's not because we don't love it. It's so close. You can take a stroller. I think I talked about this one time before. It's super convenient. We love all the shopping, all the music. We end up in downtown Disney all the time. Because they're so young, we like the monorail because you can take it right to Magic Kingdom. But when they get older, we're going to only want to stay at places like Saratoga where we can be hey, go, and not worry about the kids getting on transportation, but they can go have a little freedom. When they're 4, right. We can send them over there.
Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. With a wad of bills, they're good to go.
They're good.
That's why I use an assumed.
They got magic bands. As long as they got the magic band, it's easy.
And I never understood why Saratoga got such a bad rap. I mean, I know it's a big place, but really, you got the golf course right there. You got downtown
3 feature
Disney.
pools.
I mean,
3
like
feature pools.
Yeah, and the spa is fantastic there.
It's
by the way.
amazing. Yeah, anybody who rags on Saratoga needs to just go to
actually stay there.
Yeah.
Now, I like it as well, too. It is my home resort, but I will speak negative just for one aspect. There's 20 minutes to get out of the resort on buses, as there's 4 or 5 different stops. And if you're situated out by, say, the grandstand, to actually get to the carriage house, which is the main building, it's not even feasible for you to walk there. You're nowhere near a refill station. You're nowhere near a food place. So that's the only thing is it's massive. Think Caribbean beach, but bigger.
You're not Joe Quattrocchi because he could just jog.
I would just run through it.
It would be like
just run through it.
It'd be like a minute, and he'd be
way to burst the bubble, Chris. You know.
Well, I did invest 290 points worth there.
We've stayed. My husband and I are big walkers, but we've stayed at the furthest points that they've recommended against at Old Key West and Saratoga, and every single time we have walked with strollers wherever we want to go. So that's the flip side is now we are big walkers and we live in like a small village where we're used to walking all the time. And we like walking more so than getting on transportation because we don't have to collapse the stroller. But we have never had a problem from the furthest point. Like when they had that bridge over to downtown Disney closed, we stayed at, I think it's Congress Park, which is the furthest point from the other side, the West End, which is the only place you could get the access to downtown Disney with other than a boat. And we were able to walk that every day. I'm not saying Chris is a wuss, but
that's
wow.
Hey, I got your back, Chris.
Maybe he needs new shoes.
Just the springs.
Tim.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Brad has been someplace where he didn't have to take a bus or could not take a bus.
We had to get a run at it
to a Disney park.
Is it jail?
Jail.
So like a self-inflicted prison. Why does he hate himself?
Oh no. Exactly. No, Brad has been someplace very nice. Tim, where did Brad get to go?
Well, Brad, we're going to start featuring one DVC resort every show, and one of the reasons we had Brad on is he's kind of an DVC Aulani expert.
Ooh.
I know. That's what I said.
They got awfully quiet, didn't they, Brad?
They did.
They got awfully quiet. Huh.
We want to hear about Paradise.
Yeah, nothing like DVC envy.
Gonna find out where you live.
And by the way, Saratoga points work great for Aulani. Just saying.
Oh, I'll use them there someday. When kids can stand more than 2 hours in a flight.
Yeah.
So, Brad, tell us about your Aulani experience.
Well, we've talked a lot about it. As I mentioned before, we pretty much have hit all the different resorts, and we did it on purpose. We do split stays and try new things. We love to check out new things. We want the kids to know there's another world, but we're good just showing them Disney for now, so it's all good. Of course, now one's 21, so I think I've run out of time with the rest. But so when my oldest was getting ready to graduate from high school, we started talking to her, and we said, so, sweetheart, where do you want to go for your graduation trip? We'd always told them when they graduated from high school that they could pick whatever they wanted to do and within reason, and we would do it. Well, her being the Disney-aholic, she said, I want to go to Hawaii, to Aulani. And so I said, well, you won't hear me arguing on that. Right up until I saw airfare.
Ooh.
I'm not sure I love you that much. Quite a bit, but my wife and I talked about it, and we said, you know what, it's a once in a lifetime thing. So we started putting together, because sounds like Emily and I are a lot alike. I'm a numbers cruncher, and I plan way out in advance. I'm 11 months out planning everything, or 7 months, or to the second. And from the minute we could start booking, I jumped online and started putting it together.
What was it like?
So the best way to describe Aulani is that how many of you have ever been on a Disney cruise? Anybody here?
Fortunately not.
I have.
Yep.
Okay, Tim and Bob have.
The plan.
Yeah. Well, Tim and Bob, you being the non-DVCs, you'll appreciate this then. The best way to describe Aulani is a Disney cruise on land.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
It's absolutely everything about it. You could tell that when Disney decided to build this resort, they, just like Disney is, they're very intelligent about what they do. They do everything with intention. And Joe Rohde, he's one of the best. And so they said, we don't have a park for them to go to. We don't have amusement. We don't have, these other things that they can go do that we own. So we're going to have to create an environment inside of this resort to where everything they'll want or need is right here in this resort. And so down to they've got the same kind of activities for kids. They got Andy's Beach House, which is basically the kids club on board. They've got the cool thing there is basically the theme is that all of the characters are on vacation. So you'll be out at the pool and suddenly Goofy will walk out in his swim trunks and stick his feet over the edge and start kicking his feet in the water next to you.
Oh, cool.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, the characters just hang out with you. They come out of nowhere.
Oh.
They give you every day a daily EVA, what they call an EVA. It's IWA, but pronounced EVA. And it's just like the Navigator you get on the ship.
Oh, wow.
And inside of it, it's got all kinds of discounts for the day, specials for the day. They've got amazing spa there, so all the spa treatments. They've got a teen spa there, just like on the boats. And it's kind of interesting. The teen spa is more than just where they go get their nails and stuff done, but they actually have all during the day for teenagers. There's events. All during the day, there's events for the kids. The program is so strong that our kids were older and we didn't need to, but we had some people we met there. They literally put their kids in the kids club, and then the two of them went off site and went to see some things in Honolulu that they knew their kids wouldn't really enjoy.
Okay.
Oh.
And left their kids in the kids club knowing they would be totally safe and taken care of, just like on the ship.
Sure.
Do they let you do that? Like, is that...
Yeah.
I mean, not to be a lawyer here, but is that allowed? Like, can you...
Yeah.
I'm just not trying to abandon my children, but it's allowed.
Oh, it sounds like you want to abandon your children.
I'm just saying, Chris, maybe we both want to abandon our children in a controlled environment and then come back for them, of course.
They have excursions that you book.
Oh,
if you want
wow.
to see more of the island, that you can literally book right there on site, and it'll pick you up, just like on a cruise. So literally from top to bottom, just think of being on a Disney cruise where my wife and I talked about it afterwards. We said, we did special events every day. I really planned everything, and I rented a car, and we did the island. We did lots of other stuff. But after we got done with it all, we said, you know what? We literally could have spent the entire 7 days and never left site and not felt like we had done everything there was to do.
Wow, so it is like a cruise. Because you don't even need to get off the boat, we always tell people.
Mm-hmm. There's no way. And so that's the best way to describe it, is if you want to try. They have a hydrotherapy garden, so it's kind of like renting the thermal suite. You could buy into the hydrotherapy garden and go there each day. Like we always do that on the cruises. We go to, my wife and I get the thermal suite and go just and cash out and great shows, nighttime shows, the Starlit Hui and fire pit storytelling with Uncle. And they even have their own private Rainbow Reef, which is a snorkeling reef that's inside the resort.
Whoa.
Oh. And it's perfect because everything's enclosed. So for kids that you might be concerned out in the open ocean for some reason, you just get in there. They give you a vest. They'll give you, if you go out there at the right time when they're feeding, they'll give you the little nets to feed them. So the fish will come to you like crazy. And you can buy a little thing and go and snorkel in that every day. You buy a little wristband and you can snorkel in it every day. So
wow.
Hey, Brad, how's the cost of food compared to like a Walt Disney World resort or drink or pop or whatnot?
The cost of food is really, I think it's maybe a little bit higher than Disney World, but not so much that it would just shock you. If anybody that's gone to Disney World and done any fine dining, you get over it. It just is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
The day I got the bill for 4 people eating at Narcoossee's with no alcohol consumed and spent $360 for 2 kids and 2 parents. And I said, yeah,
You're like, now I need a bottle of wine.
You're at Disney.
Yeah, so it's about the same. It's about the same. It may be a little bit more expensive, but I'll be honest with you. When we went, it was really early on after they had opened, and a lot of the reviews coming out in the beginning were not shining a good light on the dining at Aulani. So we didn't. We really only went to one of the main restaurants.
Okay.
Did you cook? Did you get like a DVC room with a?
Yes,
we
had a DVC room. So we cooked one meal. We had rented a car, so the city is only. You can drive 10 minutes down the highway there, and you pull right into town. I mean, there's rows of restaurants and fast food and whatever you want.
Wow.
Is there a Trader Joe's?
You're pretty close to Waikiki Beach, then.
It's about 45 minutes to the airport, so that makes it about an hour to Waikiki.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't know because I had no desire to go to Waikiki. So, it's about an hour. The cool thing, the one day when we said, okay, we're going to get up today, we went to Pearl Harbor in the morning. Great experience. It's about a 40-minute drive to Pearl Harbor. Then we drove to the North Shore to Hialeah and went and saw went and ate. You know, I did Yelp and found out the best shrimp truck, found out the highest rated shave ice, and we did all of the Hawaiian dining kind of experiences and the Dole pineapple and the turtle farm, and then came back around down and drove through there's a mountain pass over near Waikiki that's absolutely stunning, and we literally circled that entire part of the island in less than one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
was that your first trip to Hawaii, or had you been
before? My
before?
wife and I had been to Kauai before. We went there for our honeymoon, but it was our first time to Oahu.
Okay. Comparatively, then, your experience the first time, and then your experience with Aulani, which one was better? I mean, your honeymoon, obviously.
Yeah.
That's a really bad question, Bob. He's going to get in trouble. But
I heard the words coming out, and I thought, this is not good.
Way to set him up.
I just want to kind of advise you on this, Brad. Just say, only my honeymoon will ever compare to my honeymoon. My wife is amazing and still the goddess she was when she was 16, even if I didn't know her.
Not the company that you had, but the actual surroundings.
Yes. Emily said it well, but as far as the resort experience, is that a good recovery?
Very nice.
Yes, that's better. Yeah, thank you.
There is absolutely no comparison.
Wow.
Aulani is the single best experience we have had, bar none.
Wow.
Wow,
Because
like better
like
than Disney World.
Yeah.
Land.
Yeah, it's like because we love cruising. I would Disney cruise every year if I could, and we love it. But we also love being on land and being able to do some things on land, you know, not always cruising. It's almost like it's the best of both worlds. The only thing I'm missing is the fun park. I mean, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
And it was the most relaxing, my kids saw culture. My kids experienced some amazing things. And I think everybody in my family, to a person, would raise their hand automatically and say, Aulani, best thing we've ever done. Let's keep doing it.
Brad, what's the minimum time that you'd want to spend there? And what's the maximum? Not that Hawaii's ever boring. What's the maximum amount of time you'd spend there until it became, well, let's get on to the next thing?
Yeah. The tricky thing, especially with Hawaii, and especially for a lot of you guys, a lot of you are back out east, so it's even worse for you than for me. It takes you so long to get there. Mm-hmm. And jet lag is a very real experience.
Oh, yeah.
So we got there really early. We got there like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but our brains were toast. Right. So it wasn't like we could get much. So with the fact that you're going to lose that first day, say the minimum is 5 days. You to try to do it less than that, you really, but really with the amount of money you're spending for airfare and the rest, I think 7 to 10 days is the sweet spot.
Okay.
And I could probably go 14 days, but I think that's probably true with anything I could do. I couldn't go on a cruise for 14 days, I don't think. I love cruising, but, you know, there comes a point where my OCD kicks in, and I've just about had it. Got to move on to something else. But I think 14 days would probably be the maximum that I would do. But
Brad, does the resort ever feel crowded, like around the pool or on the beach or just on the grounds?
Yeah, that's another really good point. We were actually there we found out later. There's so many. It's funny because everywhere you go, the signs are in English and Japanese.
Right.
Because we're Japan, where the Japanese go to holiday.
Okay.
They love holiday.
Right. It's actually closer to Japan than it is to the
absolutely.
States.
So when they're wanting their Disney fix, I mean, the Aulani Resort is booming for Japanese people, and it was their holiday. So come to find out, the resort was just maxed out. But you would have never known.
Oh, great.
Just never known. And that was even before they had built the new expanded adult pool area. That's the other thing I'd like to say, too. The adult areas, the quiet areas, you do not have to feel like there's a bunch of kids there. There's so much going on for the kids, just like on a cruise. You never see them. The beach is a shared beach. In Hawaii, nobody can really own private. They can't own private waterfront. So the oceanfront shares with the JW Marriott Resort. But it's not a huge lagoon, but you never ever felt like you were bumping into anybody. You're down paddleboarded, you can kayak and you can snorkel and you can do all these things in the lagoon as well. But we never ever felt like we were crowded. The only time we ever felt crowded was when we went to dinner the one night at the buffet. And even it wasn't bad.
Excellent. What time of year was that?
That would have been June.
June. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Tim, before we let these guys go,
yes.
This show's going a little long because
good info.
We're amazing.
There's so much information. No, hey, you guys are the experts. You guys have great information. We appreciate you coming on and doing this. But we actually had some questions that were sent in to us for you guys to answer. So, Tim, go ahead and set them up.
I'll set them up with the first one. This is from TJ. He's actually been a DVC member since 2008. So he says, hello, Loopers. I have a question for your next DVC panel show. I'm a DVC member that bought a contract on resale and have also rented and sold points. Overall, I'm quite happy with my investment and it has allowed me to stay in the accommodations I've never dreamed of. The thing I've wondered recently is, has DVC gotten too big? It is now at almost all the deluxe resorts, being expanded to the Wilderness Lodge and rumored to be going in Fort Wilderness next. With this growth, it makes it even harder to get reservations at the 7-month window. Do others feel the same way? Do you guys feel the same way? Is it too big, do you think?
So this is Emily. I'm going to just chime in here because I thought about these things. I do not think that it is too big. And I've heard this complaint before in a couple of other forums, things like that, where there's been criticism for development as far as, a lot of people, especially the people that bought in early, are like, I used to get whenever I wanted at Old Key West, which was the original resort. Or I used to get whenever I wanted at whatever their resort was. Here's the thing. I know we're new, but we've gone from buying like the cheapest slice of the pie, which is the Saratoga, because it's got the... Oh, no, did I lose you guys?
No, I'm here.
No, you're there.
Good. Okay. I think we might have lost somebody.
Joe dropped off.
We'll find
okay. So, I'll just keep talking until the situation is resolved, but which may be forever. No. We purchased the Saratoga, which was the least expensive at the time because the point, and the reason we say cheapest is because it has the lowest amount of maintenance fees. And actually, this one thing I wanted to point out: lowest amount of maintenance fees per point. And every way I did the math, when I did the math about joining, the maintenance fees were 100% of the thing that you should.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Emily.
Uh-oh. They're dropping like flies. Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me pick up Emily's ball. It's absolutely true. Don't pay attention to the resale price. Pay attention to the assessments and the maintenance fees.
I'm getting some crazy noises here.
Hey, we lost you there for a second.
We lost you dropping off, coming back. Yeah.
I'm going to drop off and drop back on.
Okay. Well, hang on for a second.
You're still there if you want to stay.
Ground control to me.
I think it comes
Joe,
down
are you here?
to... I think it also comes down to, you hear the same thing about dining, too.
Yes.
It's not an unusual complaint. I see it a lot on the forums. Do I think it's gotten too big? No, I think it's expanding just like everything else in Disney World. That's why they're building more, because there's more of a demand. So I think you're going to have those same old school goers who say, I used to could walk up to any restaurant at any time and get a seat. And I can't do that anymore. And I think that I think we're just experiencing growing pains. And I think people who are coming for the first time probably don't notice it because they just assume that's the way it is. And I think that those of us who have been coming for many years are just sort of experiencing those growing pains. And we can either choose to complain about it or to find a way to make it work for us. And I think that that's what people who own DVC or rent DVC or find a way around it are making it work for them.
Correct.
And as one who's owned the contract for a long time, reality is this. Yes, is it growing? Is it getting worse? If you really talk to the ones that are struggling, they're trying to get into a very small add-on. That's the tricky thing with these new ones they're building, is they're tiny. There's very few rooms to them. So they're ending up like Grand Californian, where they're very hard to get into because there's so little inventory there to get. And B, they're not flexible. You just have to be flexible.
If I wanted to stay at the Grand Californian right now, the chances at Christmas time are pretty slim because I own in Saratoga. But you know what? At that point, maybe I sell Saratoga's points on the resale market. I take the cash and I go and buy the cash stay.
If that's what you want.
At the Grand Californian.
Or go at a different time or get or do a split stay. Figure out 2 days you can stay there. Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. Listen, I've owned for almost 11 years. And in 11 years, I have stayed 1 day at Saratoga. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't like it, but I like checking everything out. So I have done the 7-month window for 11 years. I've gone at Thanksgiving multiple times. I've gotten where I want to go. So you just have to work it.
And you got to be diligent. 7 months hits.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to be able to go and make the reservation.
12:01 a.m., I'm on the phone.
Correct. And if you want Christmas time, then you're going to have to be a little flexible. You're not going to get Savannah View when you're, so just be a little flexible and you'll be fine.
What about this idea that they're talking about possibly expanding into the moderate resorts?
Go for it.
I guess it'll open up a market for a lower priced point. Maybe you have to depend. People don't buy points; they go to their resort. So I think if they do that, they're going to create an issue where they're going to. I think they'll struggle with that model. I think.
The reason I think the moderate is interesting to me is because one of the reasons we didn't join was because my children really like the theming. So if they can take a moderate and somehow pair a lot of the amenities that the deluxe offers with that iconic Disney theming of the values, that might bring in some of those families that have been reluctant to buy because they like that, they love that bigger than life Disney feeling even in resorts.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we also heard from Scott Ryfun. And Scott says, excellent DVC roundtable. However, my point of view wasn't quite represented. One of the big reasons we invested in DVC after pondering it for 6 years was the fact that at one point in our lives, our income accelerated dramatically and enabled us to be able to afford to stay at Deluxe Resort. Then we reached a point where the increase in price at the Deluxe Resorts was outpacing our income growth. By then, we were quite addicted to staying at the Deluxe Resorts. We found a good deal and bought in primarily in order to lock in the prices of the Deluxe Resorts. We also appreciate the substantial discount on annual passes, which enable us to slow down and enjoy our trips. When I buy passes on a per-day basis, I want to be in the parks from the moment they open to the moment they close to get my money's worth. When we have the AP, we don't feel the pressure. We can take as much needed day breaks. We can take a day off from the parks and pop in for dinner in the evening, etc., without feeling like we're wasting money. We're also bad savers, he said. Having a DVC payment to make forces us to put money away for our Disney trips. All of that being said, if he had it to do over again, he would buy resale, like you, Chris. Prices have increased dramatically in the 5 years since we bought in. In fact, the DVC kiosks around the resorts used to say, find out how you can save up to 70% on future vacations. Now they say, find out how you can save up to 50% on future vacations. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think the resale market is the only way to go now?
Well,
I think if it,
Go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say, honestly, and I thought about this and had written that down. That was one of the things I had mentioned, was that if I had to do over, I'd do resale. There is not one single thing that they offer that's beyond the Disney parks that you get by buying direct, that in the end, if you crunch the numbers, that's of value. They all end up being more. So I would definitely buy resale. And plus I paid cash, so I didn't need to borrow. I didn't have to borrow money. I don't know how I could really make it work now at $150 a point.
Right.
It's just when I see those numbers, it's like, I'd love to buy in a Grand Floridian. Oh my gosh, I don't think I could do that. So I don't think I would buy resale for sure. I think they're getting to a point where the people that are buying now may not, 11 years from now, like I'm looking at it and going, I actually can sell this and if you said the points are up to over 80, then that's actually, I think, more than what I paid. So I don't think that's going to happen 11 years from now for the ones that are paying 150 right now. I think you can still get a value out of it, but I don't think it's that. Yeah.
And his annual pass discount, that's a perk. It's not necessarily guaranteed every year. So don't listen to this. They had a
great one 2 years ago and then nothing this year, really.
Correct.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's not a guarantee. It's a perk that you get along with the 10% off at restaurants or 15% off or whatever the case may be. So it's not a guarantee.
But when no one should buy DVC because of the perks.
No. They can go at any moment.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Free parking, and it went. They had, anyway.
Okay, but let me ask you this. So when I buy resale, am I getting the full 40 years, or am I getting whatever's left of the value of that resale?
Every resort has essentially the newest resorts would expire 50 years from the date the resort opens. So right now, the oldest resorts like Old Key West original contracts would expire in 2042. My Saratoga expires in 2054, so on and so forth. So there's a year it will expire. So at this point, if you were to buy a Saratoga Springs contract, you wouldn't receive 50 years. You'd receive whatever you have left until 2054 or until Bob Cowell.
You pay very close attention to what you're buying because there's a reason why there's...
Right, even if I'm buying it from Disney.
Yes.
The idea is that essentially after 50 years, the resort would need a major refurbishment, or they would knock it down and start over with a different place, and that's why your contract would expire. That's what they trotted out there. It wasn't until recently with that Old Key West one that they extended it by another 15 years because they saw the resort had weathered well, and they could extend it by another 15 years and still uphold the Disney standard to that resort.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But even when we bought it, we didn't think of it like, we're going to save on vacations. I bought it because I wanted to come back to Disney every year. If you go into it and you run the math, it does make sense. But you need a break-off point, and that break-even point's many years down the road. So if you're planning 17, 18, 20, 22 years down the road for that break-off point where it mathematically works out for you, then God bless you. I didn't worry about that. I was just worried about making sure every vacation was going to be just top notch. That was my thought.
Sure. Yeah, I hit my break-off point at 7.5 years.
Okay.
But back then the points were so much cheaper, and even though the hotel rooms were still pretty expensive, so it's just going to take a little bit longer now. But I love what you said, Chris. You cannot look at this as just a pure investment. You can decide whether it's a wise way to invest into your vacation. But it's not a moneymaker. You're investing in your vacations, and do I want to get the very best vacation I can get?
And that's what we decided to as well.
Yep.
Brad, me and you, we're on the same page.
That's right, Chris.
And see, I look at it differently. I would rather go 7 times and stay more economically than 2 times and stay deluxe. But that's just where I was at the time in my life. Right. So I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way or a right way.
No.
But I absolutely see that point of view.
I'm glad you said that, Rebecca. DVC is not for everybody. You have to look at it and decide, does this fit the way that I want a vacation?
Right.
Well put. Right. Absolutely.
From Facebook, Brett Bodden. Hope I got that right, Brett. I'm sorry. He goes, what a great show. We just bought a resale at Saratoga Springs last month, and we won't have our first trip as DVC members until February 2017. So he's looking forward to hear about the resale versus buying direct and what to expect for the first DVC trip. Well, we covered most of that, but what can he expect with his very first DVC trip?
First, you can plan another trip in between with some cash, because that's what we did. Because I couldn't wait. I was like, we should have a scouting trip. Let's rent points. So we did. And then when you go, it'll be extra magical, but not everybody will know it's your first DVC trip. So tell them, everybody.
And we walked around like Wayne and Garth with our DVC membership cards. We were walking around the hall. Everyone had to know about it. We coming. It was our first time. It's really a cool experience.
I was rocking the hat all week. I was rocking my DVC hat all week. And I was like, I'm DVC. I get a discount, right? 10%.
You couldn't give me enough stuff with DVC on it. I was a walking billboard. You couldn't.
I bought everything on eBay that I could find that's a DVC member.
Awesome.
This is like a confessional.
I think, that one's coming. I think that it's cool that magnet that you guys get for the car or sticker or whatever it is, the DVC, and that's awesome.
One thing I would mention to the individual is that make sure that you go on to the DVC website and take a really good look at what the latest perks are, because they change. Yes. And there's always some pretty cool stuff, discounts to Cirque and different things. So make sure you do a good browsing of the different perks that are available.
Oh, great tip.
People will judge me for this answer, but there's something called Tables in Wonderland, which is a discount dining plan. Now, you can definitely think about it, but while you have this time between your next trip, go on one of the TIW, which is what people call it, in the know, and the DVC plus AP calculators. And what that means is you're comparing the discount between the DVC discount, because a lot of restaurants have a DVC discount, the Tables in Wonderland discount, and the annual pass discount. And whichever ones you apply for, you may actually find that Tables in Wonderland is not the best solution for you. Mm-hmm. You may be able to get away with a DVC card and save just as much as you would have with Tables in Wonderland. Tables in Wonderland only works if you drink as much alcohol as Rebecca and I.
That's what they're going to rename the card, I believe.
Right. So this is a great time to just spend your time leisurely researching all of your discount options.
Very good. And also bring your card with you. Like, they want to see the card physically. So make sure you.
How many times have we walked in and went, "Oh man, I forgot that stupid card."
And your driver's license. Magic bands are no substitute for a DVC card and driver's license.
That's good to know.
And enjoy that trip. You know what? Act goofy. Wear all that DVC stuff. You know what? It's kind of like a badge of honor. You know, you saved and you worked for it, and you had to go and sacrifice something to actually join and actually have that membership. And you know what? Honestly, I wear it like a badge of honor. I wear it like Tim's members only jacket that he wears to work, Bob.
You know it.
So you know what? I'm proud to show it off. So
I pull up in the IROC Z.
I'm going to screen print a picture of my.
Well, we saw
Z
your
on
gym
my
shoes.
t-shirt.
That's why I just assumed you had members only.
Exactly.
So I guess on the next DVC show, Chris is going to have some technical difficulties. We'll lose him right out of the gate.
That was a darn shame. Darn shame.
Always the quiet
We're
one.
on to you.
Well, guys, we really appreciate you coming on the show and giving us all this great DVC knowledge. We certainly couldn't do it without you guys, and we hope that we gave some people a lot of good information tonight. You guys, where can we find you guys? Chris?
You can find me at Disney Chicago on Twitter, Chris Malek on Facebook, and we got a podcast too. If I can give a 2-second plug, it's called the WW Review on Facebook. Like it and find it there as well too.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah, it's good. Should have thought about that ahead of time, Chris.
You guys are secure enough.
Joe, where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Joe Quat. It's JoeQuatt, and also on Instagram. And also, I'm a ResortLoop.com blogger. It's been a while since I've sent you guys something, but I should have something in the works fairly soon to send to you guys. So you can find me on there as well.
You have been running around the world. You have.
It's been crazy.
Rebecca, where can we find you?
At the bottom of a bottle of wine.
With Emily Honsa Hicks.
Also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at BeccaBerry73.
There you go. Emily, what about you?
First Comes WDW, which I have not updated in forever, but I'm going to race Joe to the next blog post.
Oh, I love it.
So he's a competitive guy, so I think this will work out for Tim and Bob. So I blog at Resort Loop, and I also have a Twitter account at First Comes WDW. And I just want to put a plug out for Phil, who is a Disney attorney who was the first Walt Disney World employee, and he passed away just in the last day or so. Yep.
Yes.
And so in solidarity, I have to say RIP for him, and thank you for all the stuff he's done with the Reedy Creek Improvement District.
Absolutely.
So, there you
go. That was sad. We saw that earlier today.
Yeah, our thoughts are with his family.
Absolutely. And finally, our special guest for this DVC show and
will
Aulani
never
visitor.
ever come back.
No. Wore him out.
Come back.
Please come back,
Special
Brad.
Brad.
Where
It's
can we
the
find you?
You can find me here anytime you invite me. Don't listen to those names. This has been a lot of fun. You can find me. I'm Papa Mouse 1 and the DisDads forums, and also active on the DisDads podcast. And on Facebook, you can find me at Scrapbook Travel by Brad Coates. So
Excellent.
come out and hang out with us at DisDads, where we like to talk Disney and bacon.
There you go.
Awesome.
Nature's candy.
Wow.
Tim,
Yes.
I wish I could say, and I'm sure our listeners wish I could say, that's all I've got. But
No.
this is Friday,
There's more.
and we've got to finish up our contest, or our
dear
giveaway,
God, there's
rather.
more.
There is
Oh, wait, I
more.
have to send that in.
Our What Did Walt Say? We have our final clues, our final 4 quotes.
We do.
And we are going to read those off. Go ahead and start us off, Tim, and then don't forget to send those into our contest at ResortLoop.com, all the answers.
Absolutely. Number 1, or A, on our list is, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Was that Walt? I don't know.
That might have been Walt. B, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Next one. I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
That, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't
Lots
know.
of wisdom here.
Oh my goodness.
D, you're braver than you believe and stronger than you seem and smarter than you think.
Well, I lost track of that one, but
He
okay.
was talking about me.
Absolutely. So don't forget, every Friday in the month of February, we have put these questions out, or these quotes out from Walt and others. You just pick out which one has been for, which one was said by Walt Disney, and email that to contest at ResortLoop.com. And the randomizer is going to pick a winner here for our next Tuesday show. And Tim, what will they win?
They will win. I'll tell them what they've won, Bob. They will win an exciting box of K-Cups from Joffrey's Coffee, an exciting Joffrey's mug, a ResortLoop.com mug, and topping off, like the cherry on top, is the highly coveted ResortLoop.com pins.
Yes.
But Tim, that's not all.
There's always more.
What?
There's always more.
It's like Christmas in,
Oh, puppy.
what is this, February?
February. Yeah.
You
It's okay,
also
buddy.
get a 1-year free upgrade to mydismatch.com, where you can make that Disney connection at mydismatch.com. And I believe you might even get an empty wine bottle from Rebecca and Emily.
I doubt it'll be just one.
That'd be 2 if it was
Let's not be stingy, Bob.
And Tim,
Yes,
that is all I've got, and the crowd goes wild.
they go wild. So for the contest, send those into contest at ResortLoop.com. If you have a question for the DVC Roundtable here, send that to questions at ResortLoop.com. This is the gateway to the magic.
See you, everybody.
It's been long enough.
Bing bong. You noticed he didn't know quite what to call us at the end.
I didn't. I'm cramping up. It's been a long show.
Table.
He's got cramps.
like.